Hello everybody, welcome to Loveshack Entertainment, and today we are going to be bringing you a deck profile video, and this deck profile video will be the last video that we do until the beginning of our 12 Days of Shaxmas event, which begins on the 13th of December. So whenever that is, I don't know, you figure it out. I don't know. All I know is that there's going to be 12 videos from the 13th to the 25th, one every day, including Christmas Day, and that's when we'll announce our huge holiday giveaway. So we did push that date back a little bit from the 8th to the 13th just to get a little bit more time to wait for a couple of things to come in that we ordered that didn't. So, you know, we're just waiting on that. So 13th, guaranteed start date, huge holiday giveaway at the end. So be sure to continuously check back for that. Now, enough of me rambling. What am I bringing you today? Well, I'm bringing you a not performing palette. Well, I'm already fucking up. I'm not redoing that, though. It's 45 seconds. 45 seconds more than you wanted to listen to me talk. But I'm doing a Magician deck profile today. And so for those of you who want to check out the Magician deck opening and such, that will be part of our 12 Days of Shaxmas event. We did that as one of the days, so that should be pretty cool. But today we're going to be doing an actual deck profile. Take a quick look at it. So enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and get started. 3 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. So right off the bat, one of the things I noticed is that a lot of people will play this at 2 because it can kind of be a dead draw. The thing is, though, I find myself not drawing it enough, which maybe is just me. Maybe that's just something that I suffer from with terrible hands and such, but I don't draw it very often. Odd Eyes is obviously awesome because if you can open with it, it enables your combos, but more than anything else, the Magician support works with Odd Eyes as well, and allows me to play some awesome extra deck cards and stuff, which we'll get to in just a minute. As far as the next 3 that is Performapal, Skullcrobat, Joker. So take a look at him. I'm trying to get that out of the focus there. Skullcrobat, Joker. When this card is normal summoned, you can add on Performapal monster, Magician Pendulum monster, or Odd Eyes monster from your deck to your hand. So he's really cool. He's a scale 8, which means there's nothing in the deck he can't bring out if he's got a low-end scale. And he's 1800, plus he searches pretty much anything in the deck, obviously except himself. So all in all, it's a really good card, and it's definitely one of those things that you're going to see in all sorts of decks, not just Magicians. Pepe will be playing it, Performapal. I'm sure there's going to be some other random decks that come out that are going to be playing it as well. Triple Oaf Dragon Magician. I don't know what the pun there or the play on words of that name is, but so this one is really good. If you have a Magician card in your other Pendulum zone, you can add one face-up Magician or Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your next deck to your hand. This effect is super easy to make live, and it's really good at regenerating card advantage and getting stuff from your hand, especially when you get stuff like Pendulum Call, where you have to discard, or some of the other Dragon Magicians. It's really cool for that. And then if this card is normal or special summon, you can target one Magician Pendulum monster or Odd Eyes monster in your graveyard, except Oaf Dragon Magician, add it to your hand. So again, you Pendulum summon it, you can then add a Magician or Odd Eyes that you pitch to the graveyard to your hand, so it's really good for that. And there are rumors that there's going to be some Performapal Odd Eyes, like in the same name, monsters coming out too, so who knows what they'll do, but it's just more direct support for that in the meantime. And then the last thing I play at 3 in this deck is Dragon Pit Magician. So this is a level 7, it's a normal monster, and then it's once per turn if you have a Magician card in your other Pendulum zone, you can discard one Pendulum monster, target one spell or trap card on the field, and destroy it. So this is spell trap removal. I don't have to play MST in the main deck because of this, which is pretty cool, although I do side it in a lot. But one of those things is that it gives you a little bit more space and flexibility to move things around. But it's also a 7, so it makes rank 7 plays, and the scale 8 means that you pretty much can do some cool things with it as far as being able to access the majority of your deck. And then, let's see, a couple of 2-ofs, Janky Magicians. This is one of those cards that ended up going up in price quite a bit from Clash of Rebellions, which, what didn't, but once per turn you can target one face-up Xyz monster you control. This turn you can use it as an Xyz material for an Xyz summon, using its rank as if it were a level. So this is obviously a setup for Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon, and it's also got an effect that allows you to negate a light monster on the field during either player's turn, but what makes it really good is of course, being a level 7 and 2500 attack. There's a lot of things it can run down, and it's just a decent overall card, especially being a scale 3, because again, the majority of the deck is accessible through Pendulum summoning with it. 2 Dragon Pulse Magician. So a lot of people play this at 1. The only reason I'm really playing it at 2 is just because a lot of times I'll brick with draws, and I like to at least have something I can normal summon. More often than not, I don't need to, but the option is still there if I don't get Joker. So this one is exactly the same as Dragon Pit Magician in terms of being a normal monster, but it allows you to discard a Pendulum monster to destroy a monster on the field rather than a spell or trap. So pretty cool, and it's 1800. It is a scale 1, so if you have that and Dragon Pit, you can obviously summon anything from 2 to 7. So yeah, it's useful for that. And then 2 Wisdom Eye Magician, which again is another one a lot of people play at 3. That's really just a space issue for me, but I've been thinking about bumping it up regardless. So take a quick look at this. If you have a Magician or Perform Pal card in your other Pendulum Zone, you can destroy this card, and if you do, place 1 Magician Pendulum monster from your deck in your Pendulum Zone. So this is really cool because if you have Oath Dragon out, you basically summon this in the Pendulum Zone as well. You pop it, and then you get another one, and then you can add it back to your hand with Oath Dragon, which allows you to discard it as fodder for something, and really set up scales better. Its monster effect is okay, but I've never seen a scenario where I really need to use it. Maybe in the future, if there's stuff that's going to modify pendulum levels more, it'll be more useful. And then the last monster, which is the only thing I play at 1, is Noble Dragon Magician, which, by the way, has some awesome artwork. Unless you have a Magician card in your other Pendulum Zone, destroy this card, so that's not really all that important. Cannot be used as synchro material except with the synchro summon of a dragon-type synchro monster, so it's like Clearwing, Black Rose, Stardust, Scarlight, and more importantly, Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, unless all the other synchro materials are Odd Eyes monsters. Place this card on the bottom of the deck. So if this card is used for a synchro summon, and you're not using Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon or a different Odd Eyes monster, it puts itself on the bottom of the deck. So that kind of sucks because you can't get it in the extra deck to like summon it out again, but it's still cool to be able to use. And then if this card is in your hand or graveyard, target 1 level summon or higher Odd Eyes monster you control, reduce its level by 3, and if you do, special summon this card. So obviously it's used to make Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon down to level 4, and then you special this synchro for the level 7, which we'll take a look at when we get to the extra deck. So yeah, that's it for monsters. And I know it seems like a higher monster count than perhaps some people may be comfortable with, but I just think really, like, number-wise, it's pretty solid. Now, the other thing you're going to notice is I play more traps in this deck than the average Joe. A lot of people just choose to play Royal Decree and play nothing else for traps. And I just chose to take a different approach with the build because I feel a little bit more comfortable playing with it that way. So 2 Trap Tricks, Trap Hole, Nightmare. During the turn, if a monster is special summon this turn and activates its effect, you can negate it, and if you do, destroy it. This is really cool. It gets over, like, some Cosmo stuff, but more so than anything else, like, it'll hit Xyz monsters, it'll hit Magispectors, it negates them, it won't destroy them, but it's just really viable to get over stuff, and even in, like, the mirror match and stuff, if they're summoning, you know, Odd Eyes Vortex, things like that, there are definitely outs to it, but it's one of those cards that I really like to have just because of the strength that it enabled to get over stuff. 2 Breakthrough Skill. So this is another one that's like obviously going to be looked at as a bit of an interesting choice, but it's useless against Magispectors, but against everything else, it's pretty solid. I mean, you can use it against, again, Cosmo, it doesn't do too much, but the Rogue matchups, the ability to hit Xyz is really what makes it so valuable. Ignister Prominence, Majester Paladin, things like that, that are really going to give the opponent some solid board setup. So that's just cool for this. You negate it, nope, not happening, and then if it's in the grave, you can use it again. So it's one of those cards that I do end up siding out more often than not because I'll put in MSTs or something. But game 1, especially if you play in an area where a lot of people are playing rogue decks and it's not all just Pepe, it's useful. But again, you can also hit Pendulum Sorcerer with it when that comes out, and Joker as well. So it's got its uses. And then for the 1-ups, Torrential, Solemn, both good. Solemn can stop mass Pendulum Summon, so that's obviously relevant. Bottomless Trap Hole can also do a lot against Pendulum Summons, so against Magispector it doesn't do much. And then 1-7 Tools of the Bandit. So my random tech card of choice, really. It's just because I do play against a lot of Magispector decks, and I like to be able to get over that Tempest. And if you open with this early, and you have it set, and you can just kind of drop it when they do go to Tempest or even Tornado, but more so Tempest because it's a counter trap, it can kind of keep up with it in terms of speed. It's really useful. But, I mean, again, that's just my personal preference choice. You can play whatever you want in there. And then we'll take a look at spells. We have the most broken card of the day award. This is Pendulum Call. This is in the structure deck as well. So it's discard 1 card, add 2 Magician Pendulum monsters with different names to your deck to your hand. Also, until the end of the opponent's next turn after this card resolves, Magician cards in your Pendulum zones cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can only activate 1 per turn. You cannot activate this card if you activate your Magician monster's Pendulum effect this turn. So you can use this and then afterwards use a Magician effect. The wording is interesting on this. Basically, what it means is that like you open with it, you get a really strong setup, you pitch 1 card, and if you pitch anything like Odd Eyes or a Magician, you can just recur it back with Oath Dragon. But this is a +1, and it's a pretty ridiculous +1 because your Magicians then become protected for the next turn while they're in the Pendulum Zone. So your opponent can't Wavering you, they can't MST, they pretty much just have to sit there, which means on your turn, unless they have, you know, a quick play or something, you're able to Pendulum Summon again. So this is an awesome, awesome card. Definitely a 3 of. 2 Sky Iris, and again, this is another one that could be played at 3 if you wanted to. Magician, Perform Pal, and Odd Eyes cards in your Pendulum Zones cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects. So that means MST, things that may just hit a 1 of or something like that can't be used. There's Slip Rider, I guess. And then also, you can target 1 other face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, add 1 Odd Eyes card from your deck to your hand. So this is really cool because it allows you to search for Odd Eyes Fusion. So In addition to being able to pop your stuff and like load up your Pendulum Zone, you're also able to search for this. Now, Odd Eyes Fusion, for those who aren't familiar, is like polymerization. However, it's fusion summon one dragon-type fusion monster from your extra deck using monster hand inside the field of materials. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters, you can use up to 2 Odd Eyes monsters in your extra deck as fusion materials. So this is awesome because in some instances, you can legitimately just get this off Iris, and then you can just play and use, you know, an Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon in your extra deck and one of the fusions or the Synchro or whatever. It just needs an Odd Eyes and a Pendulum monster. So you can summon Vortex or even Rune Eyes in some instances if you wanted to do that. And it's awesome because it's searchable. Not to mention, I love the art on this, and I'm not really sure why. I just think it's really cool. So, yeah, Sky Iris, I play at 2, and I play Odd Eyes Fusion at 1. You could change those numbers around a little bit if you see fit. Like I said, a lot of people do play 3 Sky Iris. I play 1 Terraforming and 2. So, I just feel as though the Terraforming thins the deck a little bit better, and later in the game, Iris isn't quite as good. So, it's one of those things where it's like, I just want to get it early so I can get my combos set up. 2 Wavering Eyes. Now, I know I was talking about how this card is a must-play. It's really good, but again, I don't play Plush Fire and things like that in here, so it's not a 3 of necessarily, because it's not so great later in the game, but I always side in a 3rd one if I'm playing against any Pendulum deck, rather. So, because you really just need to be able to have this to get that plus. If you can resolve it with 4 materials, it almost always turns the game in your favor. But of course, your opponent may have Damage Juggler or another Wavering Eye, so it's all about timing. And, I mean, I like the skill aspect that it brings in terms of, like, waiting to use it and being smart about it. But at the same time, the card itself is really not good for the game, in my opinion. And I'm hoping that they'll give it some kind of hit or limitation in January, especially once we get stuff like Pendulum Sorcerer. And then for the rest of it, Allure of Darkness, Raigeki, both pretty much, you know, understandable. Allure I play like 10 targets for, so banishing one doesn't hurt too much. 1 Sacred Sword. It's another, like, random tech card. When you really take a look at the number of level 7s that you play in the deck, and the fact that you can really Pendulum summon them as well, this really isn't ever dead, and I don't particularly like banishing them, but really being able to get into those combo pieces that you need, especially drawing a Joker or drawing, like, Pendulum Call, it's worth it to have this, and I was playing it at a higher number, and in testing, I was like, you know what, it's really not that great, so I kind of did. I cut it down to 1, and so far I'm happy with it. We'll have to do a little bit more testing. And the last one is Ignite Reload, so I've said a lot of good things about this card. Reveal any number of Pendulum monsters from your hand and shuffle them into the deck, then draw cards equal to the number, return +1. Also, you cannot draw cards by card effects for the rest of this turn. So, if you open with a bunch of Magicians and they clog, which does happen sometimes, you can shuffle, say, 2 or 3 of them back in, then draw 3 to 4 cards, depending on, obviously, how many you shuffled. That alone makes this cool, but the fact that it's a quick play and it just gives you a little bit more versatility in terms of chaining it to stuff and being able to utilize and maximize your hand, because obviously if you don't get a good setup and you're playing in the mirror match, you're playing against a deck that's going to be able to OTK you, you're pretty fucked. So, yeah, it's pretty cool at 1. There are other options that you could play in there too. Summoner's Art's another one I know some people play because Dragon Pit Magician. That, to me, seems a bit unnecessary, but, you know, to each his own. The side deck, I'm going to just do a little quicker, because I know I've been talking for a while here. The 1 Vanity's Emptiness, I mean, obviously I do Pendulum Summon a lot, but still, this is one of those things where if you can set up your board and put that out, you can control the game, which is important. 2 Twister, because fucking face-up pendulums are nonsense. You want to be able to hit stuff as quickly as possible in Magispector and stop Plush Fire combos from going off. 2 Grand Horn of Heaven. This is really just good against any pendulum deck, anything with inherent summoning, so that's relevant for that. 2 Mask of Restrict. This is a little bit premature because obviously Monarchs are going to be coming out in the next couple of months, but this also does hit Magispectors too. They can't tribute to activate their cards, and like I said, that's just a large amount of what I see at my locals and area, so it's one of those things that I play for that reason. Triple MST, because Floodgates suck. I just don't like having to main them, and it's pretty cool to have that flexibility to not have to main them, so I almost always side in all 3 at Game 2, but Game 1, it can really help to get cards you need to, you know, a little bit more control. The 1 Wavering, like I talked about, again, you side it in against any Pendulum matchup. 2 Creature Swaps. This is a little bit cool too. This is for Cosmo, because it's hilarious to take their Dark Destroyer or Forerunner, this doesn't target, and you give them one of your weak Magicians, and then when it dies, it just goes into your extra deck. I've actually used this to great success in the Cosmo matchup. It also does work against Magispector and stuff, because again, it doesn't target, but more often than not, that's just to get over the big ships, because sometimes we have trouble with that. And then 2 Dark Hole. This I don't use too much, but, I mean, it's a decent card, nice to have. Obviously, Yang Zing, Cosmo, Magispectors really aren't that affected by it, but there are some decks that are, and for those decks, it is certainly nice to have it there. And then for the extra deck, which is relatively simple because it's not perfect yet, but so we have 2 Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. This is the Synchro. This is one of the new ones as well. Really cool card, and you take a quick look at the Master Pendulum opening that we have coming up, obviously, as part of the 12 Days of Shaxmas event, and we went over these in a little bit more detail. Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon card is absolutely amazing, no pun intended. Seriously, one of the best rank 7s in the game, I think, even generically. Number 74, Master of Blades. So let me just say, I don't have a Draco Sack, a Big Eye, or a Red Eyes Flare currently. I would be playing them. I'm just making do with what I have because I don't have any left at the moment, but I would play them. You could find space for them. You could drop some of these other random things I'm going to show you, like, for example, Castell, Trapeze Magician, Abyss Dweller. You could easily drop Dweller, because, you know, you do make 4s, you can make 4s, but you can make 7s a lot easier. Rebellion, Silent Honor Art, Cowboy. So these 4s are all interchangeable. I would say maybe if you do have access to Flare, Big Eye, etc., play 4 out of the 6. I mean, pick and choose what you feel like works best for you, because you do want to be able to have those. And then Odd Eyes Vortex, which is an awesome, awesome card. Really good, especially because you can summon it off of Absolute, and it also negates your traps and stuff. And it's seen a recent rise in price, so if you were one of those people who got lucky and had some, maybe you don't have to worry about it. Rune Eyes Pendulum Dragon, it's just there because of Odd Eyes Fusion, and if I do end up summoning Vortex off of Absolute, then I still want to have a target for Fusion in the deck. And then Odd Eyes Rebellion, which, I mean, it's not that great, to be fair. I mean, it's good. It's a little bit gimmicky with Jiangxi Magician, but more often than not, it's not a necessity. But it's still a really cool card, and it's definitely useful. So it's one of those things where it's just like, until I have better options, keeping it there. So yeah, this did go on a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I do like Magicians quite a bit. I think it's a really fun deck, and I'm interested to see what people think. So yeah, this is my deck profile video, and I will be seeing you guys pretty soon with the beginning of the 12 Days of Shaxmas event. Will start December 13th, so we're working really hard to get these videos edited, rendered, packs opened, all that stuff. Some really cool stuff to look forward to for the holidays, and again, even if you don't like the opening stuff, we're going to be doing a huge giveaway, so it's definitely worth it to check back for your chance to win, because there's no cost, there's no nothing, none of that crap. We're just doing something for the holidays to say thank you to those of you who have supported us and helped us grow as a channel over the past year and a half, so thank you for that. I will see you next time right here at Loveshack Entertainment.